Namaskar.
Namaskar, friends. What we have in for today? First of all, there's a big crisis brewing in Syria for Russia, for Iran, for
I
Bashar.
can't hear you.
And, can you hear me? Hello. And for Bashar and for Middle East as such. That's the point number one. Point number two, Russia is talking after 30 years of a nuclear test. Why is it happening? Why does suddenly Russia want to do a nuclear test? Zelensky has changed tracks. He's talking for truce. He's ready to trade land for peace, but he's talking, bringing in a Nato twist into the whole angle. So it's like a goal jalebi. It's not so straightforward, but it's a goal like a jalebi. And what we have here, Hezbollah is claiming of a victory that we have won the war. Can you believe it? Hezbollah out of everybody claiming victory. Now, why did Benjamin Netanyahu agree for this agreement? And what is the story behind it? I've got some sensational revelations we'll talk. But the most important thing which we are breaking on PGurus channel right now, there's a big blast in an army camp in Pakistan, in Mustang. 8 to 20 Pakistani soldiers have been eliminated as we talk. It happened a minute back, before we started this, just a minute back, I got this update. So this, for the first time, we're breaking on PGurus channel, a big attack on army camp in Mustang in Pakistan. 8 to 20 Pakistani soldiers are confirmed dead. That is the first report. But eventually we'll know how does it shape up and how many more are killed. You will come to know few hours in mainstream media and all that. But on PGurus channel, remember, we are breaking this news on the media. Much ahead of the traditional media and conventional media. I had always number one. Mustang, army camp, 8 to 20 soldiers killed just now as we talk. That is the breaking news.
Thank you so much, Sumit ji. Namaskar. And for the detailed events, we will come back to Pakistan in just one moment. Stay tuned because we are still gathering details. Sumit ji, let's talk about other things. We'll come to Pakistan as soon as we have a little bit more information. Over to you.
I just wanted to break the news on PGurus first. Yeah. That is the idea. Okay, in the name of 𝗤𝙗𝙗 𝗤𝙪𝙪, let's do the 𝗤𝙪𝙪. The first thing is Syrian crisis. What is happening in Syria? In Syria, there's the capital and there's the second biggest city called Aleppo. Aleppo has been traditionally with Bashar Assad since 2016. Before that, it was partially with rebels. There's a rebels which are fighting Bashar within Syria, and Bashar is always in war. Last 20-25 years, they've been fighting each other, trying to kill each other. Now, what has happened is that 70% of the territory of the Syria is still with Bashar. Bashar is backed by Iran, Bashar is backed by Yemen, Bashar is backed by Russia. These are the three people who have backed Bashar. And let me tell you, Iran has sent around more than 80,000 of its soldiers to fight and die in Syria for Bashar. So it's not a kind of a special fight. All the air defenses of Syria are from Russia, and Russia has done bombings. There was an incident when half of the city Aleppo, which was once the biggest city with 2.5 million people, the commercial hub, everything was happening there. It was taken over by the rebels. Now, I'll talk about the rebels. Now, it was the Russian bombing, the Russian relentless bombing and the sieger and the Iranian troops and Bashar's troops put together, wherein they could recapture the city. Now, what has happened today? The city has fallen again. The rebels had taken over the city. Now, who are these rebels? The rebels is HTS. It is Hayat Tahrir al-Sham. It is an affiliate of Al-Qaeda. So the point here is Bashar and Syria is Shia. And these rebels are backed by a Sunni terrorist organization called, Al-Qaeda, which you all know. So these are Al-Qaeda-backed rebels which have taken over the city. And that happened in a flicker. Over one night, the whole game was over. And the biggest airbase of Aleppo was taken out without a fight. It is very surprising why the Bashar's troops did not fight. And what we are hearing from the whole day, what we are getting from the social media, that the troops of Bashar were leaving and fleeing. A lot of them have been taken as captives by the rebels. Surprising part is only 20 or 25 Bashar's troops are killed. Hardly any casualties reported from the rebels, which is very alarming. Was it a coup? Was it a infiltration? Was it something wherein the people within the Bashar's forces compromised? Who is going to gain? What was the change in the Middle East, and what will happen? Now, the reports came in after that. There was Russian, also, I think, when this attack happened, there were two people who took the brunt of it. Remember this there was a base which was controlled in Syria by Russians, and Israelis had bombed the godown because it was supplying weapons to the Hezbollah. And last time when we met, I told you, when we met in Hindi on Thursday, I think Thursday it was, I told you there are a lot of factories of Hezbollah which are still operating in Syria. And there was one factory on the Syrian-Lebanese border which was taken out just before that ceasefire came into play by IDF, that is Israel Defense Forces, with IF, Israeli Air Forces. So Syria is a very complex mix of things. And if you enter Syria, which I have been once only, you will get an impression you walk 25 years back into time. It's literally war-torn street, and the things are pretty primitive there. I mean, I have not been to Yemen. People say, well, Yemen looks 50 years back into time. So if you look at Yemen and Oman, they're neighbors, but there's a difference of 50 years in between the two borders. So Syria I have been, so that is what Syria looks to be. Now, the important factor here is that the Russians have taken a big brunt of it. Iran has taken a big brunt of it. And how did rebels manage to do such a coup? Who is helping the rebels? I think if I do my analysis, the person who is helping the rebels, or who could help the rebels, is the West. Though Americans have declared HTS as a terrorist organization, but what is unique about this HTS is that when it takes a territory, it gets the civil people, it gets the civil governance models to do the basic work. It is not so cruel to minorities. When it is, but it is not so, it's not like ISIS and all. It's not so cruel to minorities. Still, they are controversial. They are into all kinds and types of illegitimate and illegal businesses. And they are a very big militia, and as such. By the fall of Aleppo, what happens? The Bashar's control on the region has gone crazy. Is gone. That stranglehold 302016, I'm holding on to it. Now that is being shattered. Now, will this debacle continue? Because if you look at Damascus, 350 kilometers away from Aleppo, it's not a lot of distance. And the rebels are believed to be proceeding to Damascus. Now, there are reports that Russians have done a strike here. And Russian strikes have not changed much, because still rebels could get the control. And this Mohammad Ghani, who heads this organization, has not spoken yet on it. He's silent. He's saying, okay, let's wait and watch how does it go. Russians tried. Iranis are believed to have also tried. And somehow Bashar's troops are not trying. That is what is happening in this. So will it go to Damascus? Will it increase? So what does it mean? It means there's a setback for the alliance of Yemen, Iran, and Syria, 3 Shia countries in the Middle East. Who possibly could have facilitated it? Is it Israel? Possible. Is it the West? It is possible, because when in the Game of Thrones, you also play an unequal game. I'm going to also give you some of the sensational revelations. Why I missed, Israeli troops opposing the truce in Lebanon. Why did Benjamin Netanyahu agree to the truce? That will come at a later part of the time. So this is what is happening in now. The fiasco is that what will be the Russian retaliation, because Russia has a lot of stakes here. Russian controlled bases are here. Russian controlled godowns are here. Because if these rebels start marching, they will also be not kind to Russian controlled areas and bases. And what happens to the Iran's interest? 80,000 troops, billions of dollars put, and you're losing ground. Not good news for Iran. Who is supporting them? Who is working them? Because if this starts erupting, because if Syria erupts, it will go to Lebanon. It will go to the other side of the Lebanon, not this side of the Lebanon, but the other side, the upper side of the Lebanon. This side of the Lebanon is touching Israel. The upper side of the Lebanon is touching Syria. So it will go to Syria. It can go to Jordan. It can go to many more countries. And this time, it is not Muslims fighting Jews. It is Shias versus Sunnis. That is what the angle looks to be. Now there can be allegations that Sunnis have taken the help from the West and the Jews, and they are trying to slaughter Shias. What will be the position of Vladimir Putin, who wants to get out desperately of a war? Does he want to put his neck on the chopping board and wants to escalate this war? What will the Russians do? Would Russians leave the territory? What will the Iran do? What will be the Khamenei's region? And remember, Bashar Assad's brother's palace has been already bombed. And Bashar lives under a warning that if any factory is seen supplying weapons to Hezbollah, will dismantle that. All before the ceasefire, I think last 3 days before the ceasefire, it happened on Wednesday morning. I think IDF and IF has been busy dismantling all the smuggling routes which were from Iran via Syria and going to Lebanon for Hezbollah. So this is where it is. So IDF believes that it has destroyed most of the routes, but IDF says there are still some routes which are active, there are some tunnels which are active, and there is still some factories which are active. The factory which got destroyed last time is the one which was in the Lebanese side, but near to the Syrian border. It was not within Syrian border. But the agreement and if I quote the Israel defense minister, what is his name? Israel Kurtz, he has clearly said that if required, we will attack within Syria and dismantle these factories. So if rebels take the control, what happens to those factories? And will the factories be handed over or dismantled by rebels? Does Israel have to do the dirty job, or will rebels be facilitated to do the dirty job in the lieu of land and control and some weapons? So basically, one more dangerous front opening in the Middle East, and already a few million people have been displaced. There was a lot of food, water, and humanitarian crisis in Syria, and still the condition of the economy is pretty bad. It is in shambles. And I don't know how these people keep on fighting without food and water, but that is what they know. But this is what is happening in Syria. So one more front, opening up. And what is today? Saturday? When did this front close? This front closed on Wednesday. And Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Third day, another front is on. Friday night it opened. So within 48 hours, another front in Middle East is on. And when I tell you, Middle East is a whirlpool of undercurrents, where undercurrents never settled. So is it wrong now? You will agree to the fact that where undercurrents settle, you settle something else will come up. So will it become a bigger problem? Will it become a Shia-Sunni problem? Or will it be the reemergence of Al-Qaeda and maybe Islamic State? Who knows? Is it the regrouping again? And is it that by Syria, they will again try to dominate this whole area? And now the question which you will have to me, I know why is Russia helping Syria? That's the question in everybody's mind. Look, the answer is very simple. Russia has to sell its oil. Russia needs clear Strait of Hormuz. You have seen one thing. There are two countries whose ships never got attacked by Houthi rebels. The first country is China, second country is Russia. Their ships never got attacked by Houthi rebels. Because Russia is seen, Houthis are again close to Iran, Yemen, right? Yemen, Iman, Syria. And who's helping them? Russia. So Russia wants a safe passage. Its industry depends on arms and oil. So Houthis never touched a Russian ship. They never touched a Chinese ship. There is some agreement between them. So Russia, in order to sell the oil, that wants to have their dominance here. There's another aspect to it, which you will all be updated. Look, in 2025, next year end, it is believed that America has plans to leave Iraq. When America leaves Iraq, there will be a vacuum created in the Iraq. Now everybody is racing to fill in that vacuum. So ideally, Iran wants to fill in that vacuum because remember, a lot number of people in Iraq are Shias. So, Iran wants to come and fill that vacuum. Russia, through Iran, wants to have that, when the enhanced bloc wants to have those things. And that will also create the passage for Russian oil, soft passage, safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz and 𝗤𝗏 without being interrupted by the Houthis. And sir, just one sentence, I'll hand it over to you. And Houthis are the people who have drained the resources of bigger economies like US by asymmetric warfare. And now there is proof, which is out in the open. A lot of Houthi weaponry, sir, are made in China. Over to you.
Thank you so much. A couple of things that I want to place in people's minds. About 80, 90 years ago, 1/3 of Baghdad was Jewish. 1 in 3 people who lived in Baghdad were Jews. Yes. So let's not rule out the possibility that there could be a role for Israel if US decides to evacuate Iraq. Another country that I can think of that can play a role, but India tends to not do it, is India. You know why? In 1920s, if you remember this music director called Madan Mohan.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stories about how he grew up in Baghdad because his dad was in the army, or he was in the British government trying to control, stabilize Baghdad. And it is believed that the Indian army was one of the few who managed to keep all the different factions under control, that the stability and peace was there for the duration that Indian army was there. Basically, as part of the British Empire, India was sent to manage the peace there. And India actually managed to do that because they were not seen as somebody who were taking sides. See, this is the thing. When you have multiple tribes, right, the person who is becoming the judge or the arbiter should not only be fair, but appear to be fair.
Correct.
So there is a role for India there also. If you want to call yourself Vishwaguru, you should be able to take, a responsibility in such things. I hope it happens. I'm not sure. Back to you. I know we got a little bit away, but I just wanted to say also, Syria is a neighbor. Syria is a direct neighbor of Israel. Golan Heights is something that Syria lost to Israel in 1973, 50 years ago. Back to you.
So
Yeah.
even there can be, so we have to see how does this fiasco open up, and is it orchestrated, is it one way? And with this American exit going on, Russia is trying to inch it into the bloc. Russia wants this bloc to consolidate. Iran, Yemen, and then Syria, and then eventually have a very strong foothold in Iraq, because there's a big Shia population there, and Khomeini is very much interested in that. So it's a fight of, it's a game of the Thrones. See how it happens, and I've told you what are the gains, why Russia has been supporting them. So Putin is very clear on that, and Putin believes that most of the Christian countries have graduated to the either to Americans or to Israelis. So the only countries which are left for me are the Muslim countries, so we better be friends of Muslims. By the way, I read today somewhere in Russia now you can have Muslim women have a passport photo with the hijab. It is a big development. It was not allowed in Russia. Now this will be allowed. So what is happening in Russia, I really don't know. So let's move to the second part. The second part is here that Russia diplomats, after a long time, have, and I'll also talk about the Israeli ceasefire because when we reach to the Hezbollah. Now, Russian diplomats, after a long time, are talking of a possible nuclear test. I think in last 1990s, they had the last test when there was still USSR. After that, Russia and America never did a nuclear test. There's no need to do a nuclear test because most of the things you can simulate and you can work them out. Now, all of a sudden, Russian diplomats are threatening that Putin is seriously contemplating of doing a nuclear test. Now, nuclear tests usually are done to announce a weapon. Nuclear tests are usually done to demonstrate your power, and nuclear tests are usually done to show a capability which the world has not seen before. Usually, you want to give a proof of concept without attacking anybody. That's the whole idea of a nuclear test. So, Putin is talking of doing a nuclear test. Now, the question is, what has been Putin developing? What is in his mind, and what is the capability he wants to scare the West with? Because obviously, the idea of doing the test is to develop the capability where he wants to scare the West. This is what I have developed. Now, the challenge is if Putin does it, it's like the hypersonic missile. When Putin did it, China did something, America had to do it, India had to do it. So if after 33 years, 34 years, there's a nuclear test, will it start a new arms race in the continent? Will it start a new arms race? Will a new arms race be started? Will people be again getting into it? And whatever we have buried as hatchet, that we have buried a lot of missiles, we have agreed to a lot of nuclear embargo, we had agreed to this minimum deterrence where 7,000 nuclear weapons are both with the Americans and Russians. So if this test goes through, this can trigger another nuclear race of weapons. Deadliest nuclear weapons capability building, and the challenge remains that with some rogue regimes, if these technologies start slipping out and going to people like Zelensky and all in some course of time, then things can really go out of the hand. This is what the worry is. So this threat is legitimate, but the problem for the world is a new arms race will start, and God knows where will we have an agreement never ever again to halt it or not. It was believed before the Americans and Russia had this agreement wherein they buried a lot of their nuclear arsenal. There was so much of nuclear arsenal with them they could burn the whole world. Now with this enhanced testing and all, are we reaching that stage again? An accident of that matter and proportion can just disseminate or can just evaporate the planet Earth, and we all will live in a perpetual fear of getting blown to dust, even by accident, if it happens somewhere between the Americans and Russians. So we have avoided that situation right now, but with this Russian test, is it going to happen again? Because Putin is also contemplating his options, because I told you last time, when this talk is happening in the Western world, Biden, why don't you give back this nuke of Ukraine, which we had with Ukraine and Russian USSR times, back to Ukraine. So I think Putin is talking as a retaliation to that. Look, guys, if you do this, I'm going to do a big nuclear test and tell you, demonstrate you my capability. So do you want to disturb the apple cart by doing this? If you disturb, this is my option. And remember, there are 50 days yet for the Trump to come to office. So we don't know how do the things shape up there. So this is about the Zelensky's nuclear test. Sorry, Russian nuclear test. Now let's come to Zelensky. Now, Vladimir Zelensky, before I come to Zelensky taking tracks, remember I told you there was a conversation between Jack Sullivan and Joe Biden. And Jack Sullivan and Joe Biden said, look, how are we going to end this war? He said, there's no way we can end this war. We hope something good happens and Putin backs out and the war ends. But before the elections, before the voting happened, 𝙒𝙑𝙬𝘆 made a very important statement which I covered on PGurus channel. He said, look, there is a possibility that Ukraine has to trade land for peace. That statement that day went unnoticed and it somewhere got lost in the media. But today, if you go back to that statement and if you relate it to today's time, today Zelensky is talking that I am ready to temporarily give this land. The land means those 4 provinces or 5 provinces or the 30, 28 or 24% of Ukraine, which is under Russian control, to Russia temporarily. And let's stop the war. And then let's diplomatically see how we can get this land back, which is never going to come. But I have one condition. He said, what is the condition? Let's say this is the land. This is the land. This part goes to Russia. This part goes to Russia temporarily as per. This is with Ukraine. But this part, which is Ukraine leftover, minus 5 provinces, this will be controlled and guarded by NATO. So in a way, I will have NATO in my doorstep, and this part of land which you have taken gets to you. And this is exactly where the bone of contention was. The bone of contention was NATO should not enter Ukraine. And Zelensky has come up with a very smart move. Says, look, I am ready to trade off this land temporarily. But again, temporarily. But later on, we'll have diplomatic negotiations and conversations. We'll try to get that. But the world has to agree that NATO will be guarding the Ukraine. Now, the challenge is, this is where the bone of contention is. This is where the whole war is about. So, will Putin agree to it? Look, Putin is not going to give the land back. That is for sure. I am maintaining and stretching my neck out. Putin will not return the land. Now, if Putin doesn't return the land, even if he gets temporarily the land, Zelensky says now it's important to stop the war. Why is Zelensky saying it's important to stop the war? Because Zelensky knows it's a matter of time. When Joe Biden comes to office, you will not get weapons. You will not get money.
Trump comes to office.
Trump comes to office. You will not get weapons. You will not get money. As long as what Joe Biden has given you. I talked to you about that presidential special power, wherein $225 million were again approved, and Joe Biden's power is even up to $4 to $5 billion. So if you go by that logic, Joe Biden can still approve maybe $4 to $5 billion of weapons for Zelensky, but that is not all. They will be exhausted in 10 days, 20 days, month, maybe 2 months. After $5 billion, what I reported to you in the last show, there is nothing Joe Biden can do. So what Zelensky now knows that out of this, let's say I'm able to get everything out of this $4 or $5 billion. But I'm used to getting the $60 billion of packages. How much is $4 or $5 billion of weapons? It's not a lot. These American weapons are very damn expensive. So I may be able to survive for 45 days. But after 45 days, what will happen? Russia will come and take out the whole Ukraine and eliminate Zelensky. So in order to avoid that, and he knows that Joe has reached his limit. So what is he proposing? Okay, this land goes to temporarily. We'll talk about it. बाद में बात करेंगे. But in the meanwhile, I'll have NATO protecting me. Now, this is not a game changer which is going to happen, because that is why I called it the Nato twist. He could have said a third party will protect it. He could have said some, French can protect it, British can protect it, or somebody else can protect it, right? It's still, and something which is a neutral country or somebody can protect it, or United Nations or something. The moment you introduce NATO in the picture, it is not going to work out, Mr. Zelensky, because it's exactly what the war was all about. So you are very carefully trying to get in your agenda again so that you can have a maximum deal. So what will happen? Now, the only difference is Zelensky was saying we'll not trade land, we'll fight with the last Ukrainian survive. Last episode I told you, Joe told him reduce the age to 18 years, because earlier the age for getting into Ukrainian military was 25, reduced to 18, because we need people at 18. And it is a matter of time. They don't have a lot of, I have done a research, they don't have a lot of people in that age group as well. So after that, it is only a question you have to pull out kids from the school and send them to fight to die. So to avoid that, Zelensky has come up with this clever plan, because Joe is not going to give me money. After 18, I have nowhere to go. I have already picked all the yammers from the street or the urchins from the street and put them on the uniform and asked them to fight. Putin has got North Korean soldiers. Chinese soldiers are going back. We'll be covering a lot tomorrow about the Chinese soldiers in Russia. There's a lot of exposes we're going to cover tomorrow morning at 10 in our special episode on the Endgame China. So do watch us. And what is the Chinese and Russian going on. Now, with the Russian soldiers coming on that, he's falling on troops. So Zelensky knows he doesn't have troops, he doesn't have weapons, he doesn't have money. Joe is going to go back. Trump is coming to office. I have 45 days. I have maximum $4 billion. So what do I do? And Zelensky is the same man who asked Americans, the money of Russia, which you're frozen, around 400 up to $600 billion, give it to me, I'll walk off. So now what is Zelensky looking? Zelensky is looking for line share for himself. What can I get? 10, 20, $50 billion and a promise of life and asylum in USA or wherever. If you give me that, I am ready to walk out of it. So I will become another Blackwater. I'll become another something like that. And I'll become a defense contractor ultimately. And I'll keep on supplying people to wherever they want. So that is what the Zelensky's game plan is. So this NATO thing is only to increase his bargaining power and buy time. NATO with it is not working. But the good news is that Zelensky is ready to trade land temporarily, allegedly temporarily, to Russia and buy peace. Because Mr. Zelensky, you don't have an option. There's nothing. You're up against a glass ceiling. You're lose all your lives. Usually in a game we have those lifelines. You lose all your lifelines. So that is what is happening on the Russian-Ukrainian front. Russians have not committed, Americans have not committed, nobody has committed, and everybody is surprised. And by the way, we still do not know what happened between that meeting of Zelensky and NATO on the 𝗤𝙗. There is nothing anywhere what happened. Did that meeting happen? We don't know. What is the outcome? What is the strategy? Because I think after what Putin said last time, I have a log stockpile ready, and a lot of them I have put in the mass production. I think Europe is scared. America is scared. They cannot stop this missile. And all the facts which I had given you on the last program, and if you compile them together, this missile is unstoppable. And Putin has more up his sleeve. So looking at that, so everybody's trying to get a face out of it. But who has the last laugh? We have to wait and watch. That is, I have to really look at the watch very carefully. Now that is what is happening on the Zelensky's twist. After that, let's come to Hezbollah. Then we'll cover Pakistan briefly. Hezbollah, Naeem Qasim said that we have got a divine victory. After getting so many people killed, after getting so many people slaughtered, after having Hassan Nasrallah and everything killed, look at the hypocrisy of these morons. Now, Naeem Qasim thinks he has had a divine victory, and because of this divine victory, he has kind of managed to, win the war. What is happening? This Latini liver, it's agreed that this part below that, this side of the Latini liver, what is happening is that it will be under the Israeli occupation right now for 60 days. Israel has 60 days to withdraw, and then it will become a buffer zone which will be controlled by Lebanese army, and it's their job to make sure Hezbollah doesn't come here. And if Hezbollah comes, Russia, Israel will have a right to strike. But what happened in last 24 hours? 2 strikes in Lebanon yesterday, 2 or 3 since morning. And there's 1 major strike in Gaza wherein 32 Palestinians got killed. So there are strikes which are happening in Lebanon and even across the river. Then Israel is not limiting itself to the river, even across the river. Now, why this is happening, there's a logic to it which I'm going to come in a minute. So it's happening. So as I discussed last time, will the ceasefire hold? No, it will not hold. Does Israel believe in ceasefire? No. Does Hamas, Hezbollah believe in ceasefire? Nobody believes in ceasefire. Though Hamas is trying its best to get a ceasefire, because Hamas is literally finished in Gaza, and they're getting slaughtered and killed every day. So they're begging for ceasefire now. Now, why there was a ceasefire in? There are 2 questions that are very important here. Why there was a first place there was a ceasefire with Hezbollah? Secondly, why Hezbollah is not allowing the people who are living in this southern Lebanon to come back to homes? Because that is a point of contention which has become a point of contention on this ceasefire. Now, as per the sources and as per the media, it is believed that the Israeli troops are very upset with Benjamin Netanyahu because for the first time in centuries, they have reached the river. This is the river. This is the river where you see they have reached the river. They have reached the river where you can see the arrows. They have reached the river. They have created a big enough buffer zone for their people to be safe and things to continue. Now, the challenge is when the people want to come back here, this gray zone which you see. What is the problem of IDF? Why don't the Israelis don't want to control? The problem is very simple. The people who live in these villages, which is north of Israel and south of Lebanon, are all Hezbollah cadre. 90% of them are Hezbollah, 90% of them work for Hezbollah. If you look at the social media, if you look at some of the videos, you will not believe in one home, when IDF raids, you find 1 truckload of ammunition. People have deserted the home, but the home is there. When IDF goes and loads one truck load full of ammunition, Hezbollah ammunition, that is one room, that is one home. And if you correspondingly go to multiple homes, there is multiple such ammunition dumps which are still existing. The fear of IDF is that if they allow people to come here, the abandoned hathiyar, the abandoned weapons will get their masters. And these all masters are nobody, they're all Hezbollah. The problem in Lebanon is you don't know, in morning I can be orange vendor, in evening I'm a big commander of Hezbollah. So you don't know who is what. This is exactly where the fear of IDF is. That is why they're very unhappy with such a victory. Now, if the villages start getting inhabited by these people, then Sree said the concept of buffer zone doesn't remain, because you will have Hezbollah very near to the northern border again. And what do the people of the Israeli northern border say? They say, we don't want to go and work, go back and live in our houses, because we know it's a matter of time. Hezbollah will come this time. Now it is very sure with Israel, it's very sure with Shin Bet and Mossad, that this time attack will not come from Gaza, because there is nobody left in Gaza to attack. The attack will come in northern Israel, and it is going to come from Hezbollah. Now, what you will be wondering, if so much is in the public domain and so much is known, why did Benjamin Netanyahu agree to this agreement? 3 reasons. Because that's a very legitimate question which must be in your minds. First thing is, it was a Trump-sponsored and Trump-pushed agreement, which is unilaterally one-sided, favoring Israel, which is okay. Which Israel is completely okay. Doesn't matter to him. Second point, it is believed that the CCS warrant was very carefully used by Joe Biden and Macron. And Israel doesn't go well with Macron. Was used by Biden and Macron to convey to Benjamin Netanyahu, look, Benjamin Netanyahu, you can literally travel to no friendly country, because with this warrant on, you can be arrested. Anybody can choose to arrest you. Even if they give you an immunity, will not arrest you, but there can be a change of heart and mind. So literally you cannot leave Israel. So if you want this warrant to go, if you want this thing to get off your head, so the thing is, you have to do the ceasefire. You have to be seen that you are looking and wanting peace. You have, there has to be proof of that. I want peace. Though Benjamin Netanyahu doesn't want peace, IDF doesn't want peace, Israeli troops don't want peace, Israel doesn't trust peace, Hezbollah doesn't trust peace, all peacemakers, including France, UK, Germany, nobody trusts peace. And by the way, I also told you that there was a meeting between 𝗣𝗪𝗼 and UK, Germany, and who else? UK, Germany, and France. They wanted to discuss about some Israel's non-proliferation and nuclear treaty. No head and tail of that. We don't even know that meeting happened, but these are very small things that the meeting possibly happened. We don't even know, did it happen virtually or was it face-to-face? Possibly it didn't happen face-to-face, but again, no outcome. So everybody's bluffing each other. And now imagine this scenario here, where it's a ticking time bomb, and you imagine the Syrian crisis. Imagine both of them getting tangled, and imagine the tango and the torg it will create. Torg runs the engine. Imagine the tango and the torg it will create. Sir, you wanted to make a point, Ji.
Yeah, it is International Criminal Court that has issued the warrant against Benjamin Netanyahu. I think you said something else. CCI. It's actually ICC, International Criminal Court.
ICC.
Back to you.
ICC. So, that warrant is being used as so. Now imagine this uneasy truce breaking up, and then the Syrian problem getting into this, and Syria shares a border with Israel. And now you might have one more front opening up for Israel, that is with Syria. You have a perpetual threat of Hezbollah coming and attacking you. Jordan, so far so good. And Egypt is my black horse, where I'll bet my money on. I don't know what Egypt is up to. King Abdullah, still I have, whatever I have studied about him, is still a reasonable man. Fattah al-Sisi, I have no idea what is he up to and what is he doing, because his economy is again not doing well. He depends a lot on a lot of powers, and there are a lot of his players who want to push him around and want him to do the dirty job. And let's not forget, all the Hamas tunnels were opening in Egypt, which Egypt said, we never know there's a tunnel which opens there, but they were all opening in Egypt. So the crux of the whole story is, Biden is making the world more unstable. Trump is trying his best to avoid big wars. Russia is holding a bit, because Russia is not trying to go to the extreme in reacting, but Russia is getting closer to the Muslim world. Russia and China don't want this war to stop. Middle East war, because that will keep Americans engaged, that will keep the Chinese and Russian alliance together. And this is how China sees it will get influence in the whole world if the alliance is there. If there is no war, Russia doesn't need China for military consumables and other things. So Chinese CCP doesn't want this war to end. Here a new Syrian front is opened. Benjamin Netanyahu doesn't trust anybody. Everybody is waiting for the Trump to come. Now Trump is the magician who is holding the two hats and the two magical wands, and he's going to pull a rabbit and a hamster from each of them. And we don't know what are the colors, but he's going to definitely pull one from each of them. That is what the world is doing. And if Trump is not able to put in, and if something happens in between, like this Putin's nuclear test, like this talk, why don't you give weapons to the Zelensky, and Putin says, I'll start the nuclear test. So if something like this happens, the world is going through a very, very tough time. And Houthis are not dismantled. Houthis still have a lot of weapons, stockpile of weapons. And friends, it is now almost confirmed, a lot of Houthi weapons have come from People's Republic of China. This is the point I wanted to make. Then I have one more topic. Sree wanted to make a point.
Yeah, I would like you to take a sip of water. You've been talking non-stop for 1.5 hours now. Half an hour here and one before that you were on another channel, and I would like to give your vocal cords a break. Also, Sumit, the information about the latest explosion in Pakistan is so hot that we could not find any data on the internet. Maybe you can take a look at your phone to see if there's any additional updates while I do a couple of other things like by way of announcements. So viewers, just give us a minute here so that we can find out. This is like, it's not even hot off the press. This is before it goes into press. That is how hot it is. Social media is now becoming much more like the media journalism. And if you have not already joined Twitter, I urge you to do that. And there's another interesting social media platform that is coming up. Seeing that Twitter has become, red, there is a Democratic-run channel that is coming up called Blue Sky, if I remember. It's something blue. And they are claiming you are having millions of subscribers and so on and so forth. So you're seeing that there's an admission. Videos, YouTube. For news, quick snippets, it's Twitter, as well as this new platform. And all the others like Facebook, Instagram, I'm not so sure, are all gone. So those of you who are on YouTube, you're on the right place. By the way, we are continuing to improve our quality of programming, and we appreciate your feedback, each and every one. I try to read as many comments as possible in the time I have. So I keep educating myself. I'm not a journalism major. Remember that. I'm an engineer who said that, okay, I'm going to do some journalism because nobody else wants to talk about the truth. Back to you, Sumit, update on Pakistan, and then 2 or 3 questions. Over to you.
What we know right now is it is before it has hit anywhere. It is from a very, very reliable source from the ground. And this is a highly placed source who has confirmed that this has happened. And it's in Mustang. It's an army camp. It's a bomb which was detonated. So we believe at least 8 to 20 Pakistani army personnel are attacked. Possibly there is a BLA or 𝗤𝗏𝗏𝗏 Pakistan. Either of them is involved in the attack. This will be in retaliation to the people who were slaughtered as per Gandarpur of the Pashtun fate by the Pakistani army. And there is one more update I want to tell you. Remember, there were 2 Chinese which were there were a van carrying 2 Chinese guys which was ambushed outside the Karachi airport, right? We all know about that.
This happened a few months ago. Yeah,
around some time back. After that assassination, China started to say, no, I want my boots on the ground. Informal sources say there are already some boots on the ground of Chinese. And the news which has come boiling hot is, sir, the person in the van who got eliminated were 2. One was an engineer. Another person is believed to be some high-ranking officer of PLA and a member of CCP who was gone there in the disguise of some defense contract and all. They wanted to look at the security arrangements and how China could put its army and troops wherever. Now, this top secret information got leaked. And when they were leaving the airport or coming to airport or wherever, just after leaving the airport, they got ambushed and they were eliminated by BLA. Now, China is accusing Pakistan of purposely leaking this information to BLA, and that is how this high-profile person got killed. Now, possibly one of the two who got killed is somebody high, very, very high profile. So China will never talk. It is unbelievable. Because if it is not somebody big, why should China be irking? You killed so many Chinese. These people killed so many Chinese. China doesn't bloody matter. Mao Zedong said, if you kill a few million men, it's okay. I don't mind. So who is this person? Why is he so important? After his death, China has said, I am ready to give up $56 billion in the CPEC, $65 billion in the CPEC. I don't want to work on CPEC. Who is this man who is killed by BLA? Which is this high-profile target BLA got? Who leaked the information? Did Pakistani army leak the information to BLA? What the Pakistan, the grapevine says, when people land in Pakistani airport, there are those janitors and those low-level staff, which are usually Hindus and Baloches and all. They leak this information. For the sake of God, they will have a name. They'll have Xing Pong Ping. How do they who is Xing Pong Ping? How the hell will a janitor or a Hindu or a Baloch, luggage handler know who is Xing Pong Ping? You have given him a disguise. How will he know which car he's getting? So somebody in Pakistan has sold some high-profile officer of PLA and CCP very close to Xi Jinping. So Pakistanis, you are really worth the medal. You sold Osama bin Laden. You sold Ayman al-Zawahiri. You sold everybody at the price. Now the question is, who the hell paid you the money? You gave the precise information, flight details to BLA. BLA exactly knew when he's going. BLA exactly knew when he's coming. What did they do? There was a tanker going next to him. The motorcycle ramps into the tanker. Tanker ramps into the car. It all goes in the fire, and both are dead. They are burnt beyond recognition. Who did it? Look, that is the magic of Pakistan. And yesterday you killed these Pathans and in Parshanar, and then you killed a lot of Pathans in what Gandarpur said on the way of having this protest. You detained Bushra Bibi. Now today, Mustang, you have at least 20 people dead. It's a matter of time, Sree sir. Another half an hour, 1 hour, it will start hitting wherever it has to hit. But our sources are quite reliable and they're ahead of time. So let's see how many are dead. So this is how the TTP, possibly a BLA, either of them has paid them back in Pakistan. So the cycle of death continues in Pakistan. Death, reborn, they continue in Pakistan. But the best piece of the cake is, who was that PLA guy? One was engineer, we know. Who is the second guy? Kisko mara? Kon mara? That is what I would love to know. But it's difficult to know. Maybe one day I'll get hands on that. Who was that guy? Who was that guy who we are trying to hide? And why is China ready to trade off $65 billion for that guy? Must be somebody big. So BLA, good job done.
By the way, viewers, did you notice that as soon as Sumitji started speaking the truth about PLA, People's Liberation Army, his quality fell down, his voice fell down. So now you got proof that somebody is listening in and trying to actively suppress truth. This is something that we are up against, which is why we keep telling you, please, let's also game the algorithm. Like it at the beginning.
Like it now.
Please do that. If you haven't done it, please do it now. So let's take some questions. Yeah, it doesn't cost you anything.
And we are able to defeat them. Now, you see the revelation we have done, Sree sir. Tell me this Mustang attack and this revelation. Nobody is talking about except us. These two things. It will unreadily. Who was killed in that one?
Thank you so much. Let's take a few questions. Peter Ramkishan, thank you so much for your super sticker. Hrishikesh Talukdar, thank you so much. Sir, if World War III happens, which side Arabs and Saudis take?
Initially, they will try to take their own side, but ultimately they will align on the side of Islam if it's Islam versus non-Islam. Simple. No need to think.
They'll try to stop the production of petrol and things like that.
They'll do all these, but ultimately they will align where the Islam aligns. It's a no-brainer for you guys or us to think where are they kind of going to do it.
Next one, please. Kota Murthy wants to know, Sumitji, can Trump change the functioning of State Department? For that, an overhaul is required. Can he do it?
That's what he has got Elon and Vivek to do it. And that is what their job is precisely supposed to be done. Look, if Prime Minister Modi could change a lot of things here, why it can't be done. It's everything is done if as long as you have the political will and you're not willing to make a lot of money from the system. But if the system is going to feed you and run your political funding, which Trump doesn't require, fortunately, then you can't do a shit about it. I will be very direct.
Next one, please. Sriram Rao wants to know, hi Sumit and Sree, greetings. I think it's not a ceasefire in its truce. I don't think it will hold, as already there are violations from both sides. What do you think?
Of course, even today you have, if my memory serves me right, that 12 dead in Lebanon and the 32 died who are dead in Palestine. So add the numbers, it is 44 and counting. So, people are getting killed. Let's face the fact. And Israel cannot take the chances. Israel is a small country. Israel has taken the brunt of the 6 Arab countries coming together and attacking it. For last 100 years, they are trying to annihilate this Jewish state. And this Jewish state knows it's the survival of the fittest. Hindi mein kehte hain na, nazar hati durgatna ghati. If you keep your eyes off the wheel, you will crash the car. It's as simple as that. They're going at 120. You can't keep your eyes off the wheel. Whichever, anybody can guarantee you anything. It will take them just few hours to get whole Israel eliminated if they are not strong enough.
Next question, please. Subramaniam Gurumurthy wants to know, any update on Sengol delivery? Yes, we do have an update. We're almost ready to ship it. Some paperwork still stuck up. And it's something that the Indian government is doing with an abundance of precaution. I can't really say that, you can't complain about this. We have, things keep changing. This is one of the things. Procedures are different. And we have to provide a lot of paperwork, documentation. And this is the first time we were asked all this stuff. So it took a little bit of time to understand what exactly they want. There's always one form to be filled. There's always 4 signatures to be obtained. This is where things are. Everything is ready to go. We just need to get some things done paperwork wise, and then we'll start shipping. We'll be the first ones to tell you as soon as this thing starts, because we have full house. We're completely sold out. We would like to sell more, which means we just first need to make sure that things start coming to your homes. And we also want to, make sure that paperwork is changing all the time, guys. That's all I can tell you. This is not what we were told when we were starting in the beginning. And surprise, surprise, what to do? Because
I wanted one line. Sree sir is holding tough. Tension nahi hai.
Yes, indeed. And if you have cousins who are in US who might be coming to India for the December vacation, ask them to get you one. It is available in the US right now. We can, ship it to your person. Like today, I can ship it if you want. And that way also you can get it. The price is more or less the same. Thank you. Vishnu Gopi says, Sir, Turkey ka iraada kya hai? Is Khalifa against Syria or Israel?
Khalifa is against Israel. In fact, in Syria, he has his hands and legs. He has been supporting Bashar Assad, though there is a Shia-Sunni angle also, because Bashar is also against Israel, and it's the overall Muslim. There have been, even this HTS, the rebels, have been supported by Turkey. Even Bashar has been supported by Turkey in the past. So, I think the Khalifa is looking at the person who is going to make it win. And look, Turkey has now shambled economy. It's completely gone brisk. There's nothing you can do. But he has everywhere. If you have what 𝗤𝙁𝙁 𝗢𝙁𝙁 said, this man pretends to be, and he has the links with all Al-Qaeda and all these dreaded Islamists and jihadists. So if even with the HTS he has links, even with Bashar he has links. It depends who is winning. So he'll put his money there. He's anti-Israel, that's for sure. There's no doubt on it. But he also sells oil to Israel. Huh? By the way, don't forget, last episode we told you he also sells oil to Israel through Sicily. When it comes to money, they all forget everything. But when they have the money in the pocket, they'll say Allahu Akbar. Then they will change their colors. But when it's money, then they under. That's how they will do.
Thank you, 𝗤𝙁𝙁𝘁𝘀 Talukdar. Does India have nuclear capabilities to hit Beijing?
Definitely yes. Why not? We have the capability.
They just recently tested a submarine also from 𝗤𝙗𝙗 with a range of 5,000 kilometers, and I think Beijing is well within that. And
it's a nuclear power. No problem. It has the range.
Let's go to the next question, please. Chirantan Saha wants to know, as per Firepower Index published today, Pakistan is now 9th largest military in the world, overtaking Indian military in many aspects. Is this news fake? If not, how Pakistan able to upgrade its army?
Look, there is no way Pakistan army can exceed Indian army in any way whatsoever. You look at the budget, you look at the numbers, you look at anything. You even look at the area, you look at the manpower, there's no way they can exceed. But these indexes all keep on coming. Yeah, Pakistan is definitely the 5th populous country, and Pakistan is definitely in the top 10 countries of the world in terms of, poverty and, all deprived growth and all that. That is, they are there. But, exceeding Indian military and all, I don't believe this. Even after 2024, it's a new Indian military, it's a new Indian army. The Indian army has completely changed. And there are a lot of things, friends, which don't come in the public domain, but they are happening behind the curtains. So let's not. Where does Pakistan have the money to? They don't. Last time they didn't have money to pay the salaries and those Chinese arms and those guns which don't fire and the tanks which don't run and the frigaters which are docked on the dry docks and the planes which are flying coffins. So how can they be better than the Indian army? There's no way. It's all.
Kandan Ramaswamy wants to know why Turkey is funding and giving weapons to the Sunni rebels taking over Aleppo. Has USA allowed supplying F-35 to Turkey?
No, the US has not applied supplying of F-35 to Turkey. That's point number one. Second thing, one is that it is also a Shia-Sunni angle. But it is also an angle who can hurt Israel more. There are two angles Khalifa works on. One is Shia-Sunni angle. Second is, can these rebels go and hurt Israel more? Look, Bashar, moreover, has maintained peace with Israel. Moreover, he has not directly got involved, though his country was used for those weapon making. His country was used for smuggling, but Bashar has not got his personal hands dirty. Bashar is very scared of Israel. But if the rebels can promise them, no, we'll go and bang Israel and we'll go and screw their happiness, these people can do it. So it depends. You see, Middle East, my friend, is a very complex business. You don't know where side the loyalties are tomorrow morning. MBS can tell you one thing today, but tomorrow morning he can wake up and tell you something entirely different. There's nothing, the only thing which is expected is in the unexpected. And always remember, there's a third dimension.
Thank you so much. We have to end now because there's the limit. Let's get the Ashirwad of Mahadev.
Sir, I have to say, everybody, tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock, we're talking a lot of revelations about China. Do join us there. A sensational broadcast is going to be tomorrow. On that note, we will like, share and subscribe. I know. Please do it now. On that note, Bharat Mata ki Jai, Vande Mataram. Har 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 Mahadev.